There we go. Chat room's on fire already. Everyone wondering where the hell everybody is. Just for the record, Tom was taking a piss. So just a little personal detail there. We all had to wait on Tom. So thanks, everyone.
Shut the door. That's all we are.
Yeah. You all saw the video of him with his shirt off. This was a little different behind the scenes, and we spared you for it. So anyway, Friday Night Lights. It's Friday night in America. It's still America. Still. Even though there was a siege or whatever we want to call it on the Capitol building, we're still here. It's still a country. This is your reward for still being a country. We're going to do this show now on a Friday. Happy days. Thank you for joining us. Got some great guests tonight. We did have one that had to back out. So we have same format of the show, no halftime tonight. So these guys are going to answer all the questions in a head-to-head battle. Bunch of questions about West Ham. They're going to give their answers. They give me good answers, they get a thumbs up. They give me bad answers, no thumbs up. Whoever has the most points wins. Our co-host, our judge, our spectacular person and the king of Prussia himself, Wally, is here. He will be counting all the thumbs that happen. Wally, how are you? Who are you? Where are you? How do we find you on social media? And most importantly, what are you drinking tonight?
Well, tonight I'm going to the hard stuff. I'm going right to Jack Daniels. So,
Wally.
Yeah,
I'm joining you on JD, mate. I've got a little. Oh yeah, listen. Yeah. This was a present from Charlie Walsh as well. It was a lovely PlayStation trophy mug because he knows who the real trophy man is here. We have a little limited edition Jack Daniels apple this evening on show.
Wow.
So lovely Tennessee apple. So
mine's just regular, plain vanilla.
Well, it was either that or Captain Morgan's, but we decided to go with a nice limited edition for tonight's episode.
All right.
There you go.
Well, I'll be keeping score, and I'm king of Prussia right now. But tomorrow morning, I'm heading south to get out of this cold, going to New Orleans. So
nice.
Yeah.
Solid plan, Wally. Solid plan.
Yes. Good stuff.
We're looking forward to that. Wally will still be coming to us from New Orleans, and I'm sure your drink choices will probably get more elaborate.
They'll get more
the farther you go. So
hand grenade next week.
Good stuff, Wally. We'll I'll tell you what. We will have a halftime, and we'll bring you back. Nobody will get booted, but we'll get a score update halfway through. Tom, you've already revealed your drink choice, but who are you? Where are you? How do we reach you on social?
At Athos32. My name is Tom. You've seen me around here before. I no longer do stuff for Hammers Chat because I'm focusing on doing my own stuff, which you'll find me on YouTube as Athos32. There you go.
Lovely stuff, Tom. Friend of the show. Great content he's got going on your own YouTube stuff going on now, Tom. Lots of FIFA content. Words that I don't really understand because I haven't played FIFA.
I love confusing.
Like the original.
I love it. It's great fun confusing you.
It's good stuff. And happy to see you grow that. Matt, fantastic to have you. Who are you? Where are you? What are you drinking? How do we reach you?
Matt in Chicago. I am here just a few blocks away from Wrigley Field. You can find me on Twitter at Irons and Stripes, or you can follow us at Chicago Hammers if you want to follow the group. And tonight I am being sponsored by Bell's Lighthearted Ale. So it's like it's like the two-hearted thing, but if you're a bit of a fat bastard, you try every now and then, especially in January, give it a go, try and cut down. So on the light-hearted stuff tonight. So
I love Bell's. They got some really good stuff.
They have, yeah, it's decent. So give it. I haven't had it before, but it's all right. Giving it a go. Not bad. Not a bad start to a Friday night.
I'll have to give them a try next time if I see that. I've had the Two-Hearted and lots of other stuff from them, but not the Light-Hearted yet. I'm drinking Tired Hands, which is out of the Philadelphia area and possibly one of the best breweries in the country, if you ask me. Just delicious stuff. If you're ever in the area, please go there and please invite me. Anyway, we're going to get into it. Let's get to question number one. And these questions are a week old, so I may pull a fast one and change one or two of them on you. These guys received the questions in advance about a week ago. But so transfers. So give me your best argument why we should sign Arnautovic. And Matt, I'll start with you.
We should re-sign Arnautovic because it's literally the most West Ham thing you can do. We are the club that is like the girl who keeps coming back to that bastard time and time again. It doesn't matter what he does. He cheats on her, he nicks her car, he shags her mum, she'll keep coming back. That is us with Arnautovic. When he left, I want everyone go out there, check their Twitter feeds. Can't stand him. He's a snake. Get rid of him. And here we are, 18 months, 2 years later, and there's a large base out there. It's the most West Ham thing to do. So that's probably why we should re-sign him, because there's nothing more West Ham than re-signing someone like Arnautovic. We love a bastard, and we love being treated terribly. We are that girl.
Makes a bit too much sense. Tom.
Yeah, no, you kind of stole my thunder there with the bastard thing. That was the reason why I was going to say, is because we don't actually have a bastard at West Ham. We need somebody at the club, as you know, West Ham, that just doesn't give a shit whether it be, you know, looking on the pitch or the way that he acts. Do you know, there's one thing that I miss about him, and I remember when it was against Burnley the other year at home, and he had got on the receiving end of a bad challenge from, he was at Tarkowski or Ben Mee or someone, and he scored, and then he sort of turned around and he had his tongue out and he was pointing at him and stuff like that. And I just miss watching that. I feel like at times we've become a little bit too passive under David Moyes. I feel like we've become like a little bit, you know, we don't have that same fight, that same energy. Sometimes you just need an Arnautovic. Somebody who will just grab the game by the scruff of the neck and go get you 2-3 goals, or he'll do something completely stupid like elbowing somebody like he did away at Saints. And I just miss having someone like him in the club. I miss having someone like him in the team. I think that we are, like I said, we're short of bastards at the minute. I mean, we've hardly got any players in our first team at the minute. And I think, you know, the West Ham fans, we deserve a bastard. I'm going to keep saying that word because that's exactly what he is.
It's a fantastic word. Some good points made. Maybe this next question, perhaps is easier. But what is your best argument why we should not re-sign Arnautovic, Tom?
To counter that, he's a prick. That's probably why I wouldn't sign him, because he's a massive prick. It's not just Arnautovic; it's everything that comes with Arnautovic. It's his brother. It's the shit talking between games. Somebody that can't shut up when it comes to the media. It's somebody that thinks that he's better than the club. It's somebody who will take liberties. Somebody that will just put himself first before anything. And what David Moyes has currently got set up, if we're being serious for a second, is a team that actually is working together, that get the best out of each other. And I think Arnautovic brings a selfishness with him. And also it's the wages that he comes back on as well, unfortunately. It's, is he willing to take a pay cut to come back and say, is he going to come back and go, I love the club, but you're taking, 200 grand a week from the club? Or are you going to say, do you know what? I was a dickhead. I went out, fair enough. I took the money for that. Now I'll take a pay cut. I'll come back. I'll swallow my, my dues, and I'll be a team player. If he did that, I'd have no issue with it. But we all know he's a massive bellend, and his brother comes with it. And I just can't go through that again another time round at West Ham.
Matt.
Good point. He is a massive bellend. I would also say, though, wages are going to be on massive wages, and he's 31 years old. Right, he's at the tail end of his career. When Moyes took over, the plan was we were going to start signing younger players. We tried it with Fredericks. We tried it with bringing players like Souček in. He's brought Rice is in the team now. Well, the plan was we're going to have young, hungry players. We're going back to doing what we used to do. Washed up players. He's been in China. He's not really torn it up in China. Let's have it straight. He's not up there getting banging 20 goals, 25, 30 goals a season. He's been out there for the payday. He's not really done the business out there at all. Is he going to be fit enough? Is he going to be used to the game? It's going to take, even if we did sign him at 31 years old, it's going to take him 6 months, if not more, to get himself back into Premier League shape, back into the pace of the game, the state of the game. We don't have that sort of time, especially when you're dealing with someone who's at the end of their career as well. He's coming in. He'll be 31. We might get a season out of him. Maybe a season and a half, by which time he's 33. Why would we put ourselves through it for 18 months? It's not worth it. If we should go back to looking at the lower leagues, trying to find someone who's hungry, who's half decent, who's interested in playing for the club, he's too old, he's past it. It's just not worth it. And as Tom said, he's definitely not worth the hassle.
So my next question was, I sent it to you before any of the Haller stuff happened today, right? So it was, what's the most important position we make a signing for and why? I'll let you guys answer that, as I think you'll probably both say striker now? I mean, in one word, is it striker or is this for no points, just out of interest?
Yeah, striker, because we don't have a backup. I did say on Twitter earlier that I'd like Mipo Odebeko, if he was back fit, to become part of the first team squad, because he literally is the next recognised striker. Antonio's not a striker. He's converted, fair enough. I still don't believe he's a striker. So, yes, I would argue that, slowly or closely followed by a centre mid, because we've lost Snodgrass, who could play in that position. A utility player, and I think still if Rice or Souček was to go out for a few weeks, we'd just start tumbling down the table.
Matt, I'm guessing you probably agree with most of that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like I said, Antonio isn't a striker. Not only is Antonio not a striker, he's also not a fit striker. So he's back. He's only just coming back into the team. We all know it's going to happen again. His hamstring's going to go, or he's going to take a knock. And then what do we do? I don't think there's any forward planning at the club again. I don't think there's any plan B. The squad continues to look, a bit thin and a bit ropey. So it has to be a striker, and it has to be a striker that fits our system. I think we brought Allaire in. Everyone was really excited. Young player. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked out. We've got a touch like a dump truck. All the best. Ajax, but we need a striker. We will need one that will fit what we're trying to do. Looking for a younger, fitter, healthier Antonio.
Yeah, I make you both spot on. And like I said, no points on that one because I think it's a bit too obvious. But here's one that may make you think on your feet. I don't know if Tim sent you this in advance, but I told him I may ask it instead. So I'm going to replace this question with, if you had to sell one, Rice or Souček, which one would you sell, Rice or Souček? Matt, I think you're first to go now. So I'll start with you, Matt.
I mean, obviously tough one because you've got two players there that are key to the team. But for me, it's if I've got to sell, I would sell Souček and I would keep Rice. Rice, I think, is by far the better player. His distribution is better. His ability, he tracks back. He's young. He's hungry. Also, he's really into what we're doing as a club. Souček has come in, has been great, has been fantastic, and I don't think you can underrate, what he's done this season. He's scoring goals. But Rice is the future captain of the English national team. There's no doubt in my mind. I think Souček is replaceable. Rice is not. And I also think as well, we would sell Souček, and we might sell Souček for, let's say, 20, 25 million. And we could get a similar sort of player for that money. I think even if we sold Rice for 80 million, we wouldn't be able to replace him with an £80 million player that can do what he can do, and certainly can do what he can do for the next, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. So for me, I thought I'd have to, if I was forced to sell Souček and keep Rice.
Tom, agree, disagree, devil's advocate?
No, I agree with pretty much all of it. I actually reckon that Souček's worth closer to, after this season, 40 million potentially. I think he's good enough to play that. I think he's a player that can either play as a box-to-box midfielder, but he also offers that engine that a lot of central midfielders in the world don't have. He also offers such a threat from corners and set pieces and stuff, and he has always got the nous to be in the right place at the right time. He's shown that time and time again, and I think obviously he's not as irreplaceable as someone like Declan Rice. I think Declan Rice, you like exactly what Matt said there. You cannot buy an £80 million replacement, and the things that Declan Rice does, I also think Souček can do, but he is obviously a bit more replaceable. I would obviously probably like to sell Souček too. I think but I mean, I wouldn't like to sell either of them if I had the chance, but if a bigger club like a Bayern Munich, who was supposedly interested in him, come forward, it's you would chomp at the bit to go to do that. Whereas with Declan Rice, he's younger, he's the spine of the team. He's now made captain within inside of 2-3 seasons. As Matt said, I fully see him becoming England captain in the next sort of 5 to 6 years. He has just got. And do you know what really pisses me off is when I listened the other day to Gary Neville when he was talking to Carragher on Monday Night Football before one of our games. It was only a couple of weeks ago. And he said, other than the passing ability, I just see he doesn't really have the passing ability, and he's just a centre. He's in a centre back mould. I don't see that. I literally see him when he sat in front of that back four. And I know he said on time and time again that he wants to add goals to his game. And me and Charlie used to debate this all the time on the watch-alongs. He is just he could sit in front of that back four all day long. His reading of the game. I joked when he first came into the team against Burnley years ago. I was like, hang on a minute, this geezer's reading of the game. I was like, it's like watching Bobby Moore almost out there, like reincarnated. And do you know what? A few years later, I stick by that because there is not a single player I've seen in the Premier League this season that has the ability to read the game almost in that position as well as he does. He's one of the best defensive midfielders currently, in my opinion, not just in the Premier League, but he must be up there in world football as well. Because for those that don't watch him week in, week out, and they'll say, oh, all he does is pass sideways and stuff, you've got no clue if you see that. He can ping diags with his left foot, with his right foot. He likes to set the play up. He likes to sit in front of that back four, mop up, everything. There are so many just tangible things to his game that brings the whole team together. And you cannot beat his passion and his love for this club, even though it wasn't his first club. So unfortunately, on that, way, I would have to sell Souček. But, I'd love to keep both of them because I think they are probably two of the best central midfielders or partnership. It was a position, sorry, I'll wrap this up. It was a position that we, our midfield was always an issue for such a long time. It was either Song, Nolan, Noble, who would play in that midfield. And it's annoying because we finally found two that complement each other so well. And unfortunately, because of how well they played, they're probably going to move on to bigger and better things in the next 18 months, which is such a shame because I actually genuinely believe that they've got one of the best midfield partnerships in the league when they're playing on form.
I'm right there with you, Tom, and I can't understate how good Declan Rice is. And I think you're right. There's a lot of people that just don't understand because they're not watching him week in, week out. Like you said, left foot, right foot, he's got range, he's got ability. His reading of the game is magnificent. His offensive play is actually, he never loses the ball when he's running with it going forward either, which for, his so-called centre-back role that people seem to confuse him with, he can bring the ball forward, and I hope we do that a lot more with him.
That's the thing. He's such a big presence coming forward. He's so commanding when he steps forward. Like, I remember that game against Leicester. I thought he was just absolutely exceptional. He had that chance late on for when it was either Fornals or Bowen scored the third. He's absolutely brilliant. He has no problems with sitting back, timing his tackles to perfection. Other than maybe one or two mistimed challenges in the last 3 years, I've not seen somebody who has that exceptional reading of the game for such a young age. It's so, you can't teach that. That's instilled in him. And people say, "Oh, that's because he used to be a centre back." I don't think it is. I think he's just got that good a reading of the game that he's developed before it. It's what you say about Bobby Moore was the fact that he would see it develop before it even happened. And I obviously wasn't live to see Bobby, but the way they spoke of him, I just see it with Rice. It's like when he puts his foot, that tackle that Bobby Moore had against Jorginho in the World Cup, where he sort of hooked his leg round and stuff. Rice does that. It seems like every other week. And he always times it perfectly. He hardly gives away any fouls doing stuff like that. It's just you cannot teach that. He's just that good.
I would say the thing about Rice is that sometimes when I speak to people, it annoys them when people like Neville and Carragher say, "Oh, I just see a bit of a centre back. Right? Is he really that good?" I'm all for that because the more of an opinion that's out there, the longer he stays with us. I've got no problem with people downplaying how good he is because we watch him week in, week out, and he can touch his great. He can pass his vision. He's a leader as well, which which we need, especially obviously with Noble coming to the end of his career. We need a leader on the pitch. So I'm all for people playing.
Let me ask you guys this. Would your answers have changed if I would have asked who the most important of those two is to West Ham?
For me, Rice is the more important. Yeah. I think
Rice is the one that keeps it ticking.
He's the player that you can build a team around.
Absolutely.
Souček, as good as he is, and I think the value for money, that we've got through Souček coming into the team has been fantastic. It's a great bit of business, one of the best bits of business we've done in a long time. Rice is the player you can build a team around. He is a linchpin to not just the midfield, but to everything we do because he covers so much ground. He will push forward and he will get involved in the attack, but he'll also sprint back 50, 60 yards to do his bit and slow the play down and try and win the ball back. So, for me,
we'll move on from Rice because Adam.
Hang on. Adam is Charlie's friend. He's also my friend as well. He's a good friend of mine. He's an Arsenal fan, and all I would say to you, Adam, is it's okay that you're upset that we compared, or you like to compare Guendouzi to Rice a few years ago, and that ship sailed, and it's fine. It's okay. All right. we clearly have the better defensive midfielder in East London, not in North London, who's now over in Hoffenheim or wherever he went to, or Hertha Berlin. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Safe space.
I know.
I asked you guys that because I'm starting to come up with a slight idea that Souček may be more important to West Ham than Rice is. And it's not because he's better than Rice, it's because we're West Ham. And Souček's goodness is more attainable for us over the long term to be able to keep a player like that, and the type of, rough and tumble player that he is.
Yeah,
maybe more important to us than how good Declan Rice is.
I actually think that, sorry, because I've got the chat up, David Thornton made a good point. I think you remove one of the cogs of that piece and all of a sudden they struggle. That's why I felt like as soon as Noble was back in the team a couple of weeks ago, it almost threw it off because they weren't used to playing in that style with having him in there. You disrupt that little system or the way that they play, and one doesn't work with the other. And I actually think it almost seemed as if David Moyes had told Souček to sometimes play a bit more of the defensive role, Rice to try and go forward. But in the last few games, it seems that he's told them otherwise, and Rice stay back and Souček go forward. But if one of them is not on song, then the other struggles as well. It needs both of them in there to perform the way that they do. And like I said, genuinely, I honestly don't know if off of pure just engine and how much those two run around a pitch, I literally don't know another centre mid partnership in the league that will do as much running as they do together. It's absolutely mental.
So one quick one: who would you rather go for a beer with, Souček or Rice?
Souček, because he'd have some mad Czech Republic mates like Coufal.
You'd end up in some. Souček does seem a lot of fun, yeah.
Souček comes with Coufal. I mean, they're going to be inseparable. And Coufal looks like he's going to go in, nut the bouncer, and just pour his own pint from behind the bar. Did you see
Coufal? They did a Christmas video, right, for West Ham. They were watching old clips. Coufal was sat next to Souček. And there was a woman, I don't know what film it was, I can't remember off the top of my head, but she was like in a bikini. Mean Girls, and she was in a bikini or something like that. And Coufal, who's just had a kid, so he's obviously got his wife at home, was like, ooh. So if you went out with Souček, you would end up in some dodgy strip joint at 3 a.m. just with a load of Czech people. It'd be honestly, get Repka involved. Just the Czech, they're a bunch of mad bastards.
I feel like that's what probably happens every time you go out with Charlie Walsh anyway. But let's get back.
He doesn't drink. I have to do
Let's get back to the thumbs. Let's get back to it. There's a little. It was my own fault, but it was a good side chat there. Yeah. What's the best thing about or happened in 2020? That magnificent bastard of a year, 2020. What's the best thing that happened in it? Tom.
I don't know how to be serious. It was just the shittest year known to mankind for quite some time. It can be non-West Ham related, can't it?
Yes.
Let me pull on your heartstrings, John. Let me pull on your heartstrings. It was always been a dream of mine to start up my own YouTube channel. I'm not doing some self-promotion stuff here. I've just come to say that I finally, with a little bit of financial backing, because one of my dead relatives died and left a lot of money. Well, very upsetting, obviously. That left us a load of money, and it gave me my lifelong dream, basically, of creating my own content and doing my stuff. And there's 2 people specifically in the chat, 3 if you count Adam, who is a very good friend, but Charlie and Rebecca have basically pushed me through my own mental health struggles. I'm getting very deep here. As somebody that suffers with BPD and stuff, it took a large leap for me to do that. And in less than, pretty much around 2 months, I've hit 700 subscribers. One of my videos hit like 13,000 views, and it's just been like an incredible end to the year for me, basically. And there's other people in the chat who also have helped out as well. I see like Foshizi and Charlie Boy and other people, Rob Hart as well. Like, just the support I've had from people towards the end of the year, and basically trying to achieve a lifelong goal of mine and create content and make people laugh and do something I enjoy for a living. It's yes, there you go. That's my moment of 2020. Amongst all the shitness, it had a happy ending for me, even though I haven't seen my dad and everybody else for a year, which is a bit shit. But it was the one sort of highlight basically in my year. But there we go.
Good stuff, Tom. And that's really great to hear, and we're happy that you're reaching those goals. So I know we're
Matt, do something similar, please, just to make it,
have
some heartwarming story.
What you got, Matt? What's the best thing about 2020?
Okay, I will reframe what I was going to say. I would say actually, for us, like I said, I'm here in Chicago. I'm a teacher. I teach first grade, and we've actually been back in school this whole time. So to be back, I've been lucky enough to be working, especially as we were saying before we come on. We're right here, right by Wrigley Field. The amount of places, unfortunately, that are struggling and going out of business, like. It's just been nice to be to be actually in school and teaching. So, for me, I'm really grateful for that. Obviously, the kids and stuff as well. My own kids, lovely. But tuck them in case they're watching. They should be in bed. Just a sense, that little sense of normality about being able to actually go into work and see people at work and come home, which I know that a lot of people, unfortunately, haven't had. So for me, I'm going to chuck in a work thing. And also Arsenal's staggering demolition of themselves, I think, has also been really, really enjoyable to watch.
That's a good storyline.
I was going to say, isn't
really fun.
If we went over to 2021, surely it must be that Donald Trump's on his way out and Joe Biden's on his way in. Is that not?
Well, where is he? We've got 2 weeks yet. Tom, don't jinx it.
Yeah, Tom,
it's great fun. It's great fun watching from afar in the UK. It's great fun. It's a great laugh. It really is. It's an interesting watch.
Well, Wally just got back from Washington, safe and sound.
You out protesting, were you, Wally?
He was the guy in the Viking helmet, I think.
Sat with his feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk.
Beautiful, beautiful scene. Yeah.
Wally, do you have any highlights from 2020?
Oh, I'll tell you what my highlight was. Well, we all remember the goal at Spurs to Lanzini, flinging off his shirt and everything. Well, somebody did a mashup of Lanzini's goal. Two annoying Spurs fans who were like thinking they had won it, and then the disappointment on their face, and our own Tom here flinging her shirt off just like Lanzini, running around the room. Oh.
Do you want to know the best bit about that story, right? True story here. My dad texted me a couple of weeks after that happened, right? He texted me a couple of weeks after that happened. He said, there was a video that appeared on LinkedIn. So Hammerschat Gio has got a LinkedIn account, so he can get in touch with some former players and stuff. And he'd put the video up on LinkedIn. I didn't realize it had gone up on LinkedIn. And my dad texted me and he said, I had a really strange text from a guy. My dad's been out of work, by the way, but for about 10 months because he's a contractor in London. And he'd been out of work for about 10 months. And he was in talks with this guy to get a job back going in London. He said, really strange. He said, he sent me this video of this West Ham fan going absolutely nuts. And I hadn't seen it at that point. He said, and then I opened it and I saw it was you. And his soon-to-be hopeful boss was like, oh, look at this idiot taking his shirt off and running around. I then had to admit to him that it was his son and it was me. And then he ended up getting the job. So, yeah.
Sorry, that's great.
That's awesome. Oh, God. Wally, what's the scores?
Wow, well, we have a very close match. They both are on 12 likes. So it's a tie ball game as we go into the second half.
All right, we've got a few questions left. There's nobody to boot except for you, Wally. We'll see you at full time. We'll get into this now. Season so far. Wait, who did I come to first last time? Was it you, Tom? Yeah. Season so far. What's the highlight of the season so far and why, Matt?
To be honest, I was giving this a lot of thought, and it's for me, it's really, really difficult to move away from that highlight being the way we played at the start of the season. When that fixture has come out, everyone was like, right, well, that's us fucked. Thanks very much. If we don't get nothing out of that first game, that'll be it. We won't get anything out the rest, and then we'll be stuffed. So for me, it was the way we played, and especially after that first game, Newcastle, we lost 2-0, and we weren't very good, and it was diabolical. And then it really, something happened, something clicked, and it really started to turn around. So for me, it was, to be honest, it was the way, it was that change in attitude from seeing the fixture list, and then that first week and thinking, oh right, we're really, really stuffed here. and then it turning. We've had some great results, cracking result, and I would say actually, to be fair, in a close second is not actually the Spurs win, but is that Spurs video of those two absolute muppets, and just the way one of them slips the headphones very casually off the back of his head, so that you can then tell that he's then thinking about stringing himself up by him, because he's really like it's just the look on their faces. I think really is something that's been a top part of our season. So that's it for me. Just the way we kind of turned it around, the way we surprised ourselves after that fixture has come out.
Tom.
Mine's a little different. It's two things. Firstly, obviously, the game against Spurs, not just for my reaction, obviously, which was obviously quite funny at the time. I enjoyed that very much. But the highlight of my season so far, even though I can't do them with him anymore, has been doing the watch-alongs with Charlie. And it's because we can't get into the ground, right? And we can't obviously be with our friends. We can't be with people drinking and stuff. It was doing the watch-alongs with Charlie, and it was specifically for one reason. We were playing against, it was the Spurs game, right? We were obviously dead and buried at 3-0. I came out and I said to Charlie, I said, we need to make this fun because we're going to be losing by a cricket score here. So about halfway through the first half, I came out and I said, I'll be taking agony aunt questions just for a bit of a laugh. And there was about 200 people in the live chat, which there usually is with watch-alongs. And this bloke came with what I thought was a joke question. And he said his wife had left him. She had taken the kids. He lost his house and his job. And my reaction was to go, and that is what you call shit out of luck. Anyway, about 30 seconds later, and there were people in this chat that were in that watch-along that will attest to this. And then 30 seconds later on, he come back, he was like, nah, mate, seriously, like, my wife's actually taking the kids and stuff like that. I then had to spend the next half an hour grovelling during the Spurs match in the first half, apologising to this poor bloke who'd lost everything, and I'm there taking the piss out of him, thinking it was a joke. So, just doing those watch-alongs with Charlie and interacting with people, and obviously the games itself, it makes it easier. But a lot of my time this season has legitimately been spent in front of a camera watching games and stuff. So it's, I would have to say, doing those with Charlie for me, and specifically just engaging with a lot of people that are in here, and just enjoying the moment, enjoying as best as you can from the comfort of your bedroom in the middle of Yorkshire in a shithole, just having to watch a team that you thought were going to be absolutely crap. It's been a great laugh. But in terms of overall performances, 100%. The games against Wolves and Leicester, I think you have to say, it's I didn't expect, as Matt said brilliantly there, it was like you saw that fixture list, it was like, oh, fucked. Yeah, we are fucked. Like, we expected to be bottom at Christmas.
Yeah.
So to see the team play the way that we have, tough decisions that David Moyes has had to make, what we would see as tough decisions, but basically getting rid of what he believed to be dead wood. It's been a breath of fresh air almost to see a West Ham team pulling together like that. So for me, just some of the way the games that we played, how we played, the manner in which we played, and grinding out results when we've specifically been shit in some games, and that is the sign, I think, for me, as of a good football team, if you can pick results up when you're playing poorly. But yeah, just for Adam specifically to chat, I don't know how we lost to Arsenal. That one's going to haunt me for quite a while.
It will, but I think we played them when they still thought they were good, and then their confidence completely got depleted, and then they looked really bad. They're on the way back up now as well. I think their confidence is coming back, but like when we actually played them, I think it was a little bit different than the Arsenal that we've seen over the last 2 months. Well, if that was your highlight, Tom, I'm interested to hear what your answer to the next one is. So, what was the low light of the season so far?
Sebastian Haller being sold today. That really put a dampener on my season. I love Sebastian. I love my brick. I love Sebastian Haller. I was his big. Get a like for saying you love a brick. It's brilliant.
Stupid answer.
I was his biggest critic. Almost, it felt like at times. Well, actually, I wasn't his biggest critic at all. I've been his biggest fan for God knows how long. I actually think that what Eric Ten Hag said at his press conference today was, we're going to play him in a system that he will be able to thrive in. If you look legitimately, if you look at the stats for under 20s that have created the most chances in the top 5 leagues, right at the top with 17 is a guy called Anthony, who plays on the right for Ajax. You've got Quincy Promes in there that can create. You've got Labiad, I think, is another one. You've got Dusan Tadic. Basically, lots of players that can crowd round the striker, offer support, and try to get the best out of Haller. And I think we didn't do that. That's fair enough, because it wasn't the way in which David Moyes wanted to play. And I understand that. He wanted maybe a striker that could run the channels a little bit better, not necessarily hold the ball up, but look to get beyond the defence, try to get in behind the fullbacks, which is weird because we've got no pace in our team anyway. But I just think we gave up on him too soon. I know people say, "Oh, well, he deserved it. He didn't deserve any more chances than he had." Don't forget, he's still our top scorer in the Premier League, ahead of Mikel Antonio, I believe, or not top scorer in the Premier League. He had more goals, so it must be Souček at this point, but he had more goals than Antonio in a less amount of games. I just think he's going to absolutely tear it up in Ajax, and obviously it's not as a tougher league out there, but again, they're playing in Europe, and I think he'll generally do well. I think if we had maybe been under a different manager that could have used him a little bit better, that maybe tried to not play at 5 at the back, would play 3 at the back, or play 4 at the back instead of 5 at the back, and actually try to sort of get more crosses in around him. I think we did him such a disservice. If you watch half the game he's had, the crossing that was coming in at times from Felipe Anderson was so poor. Yarmolenko was poor with his balls. Bowen has started to, produce, but he's also quite greedy in the chances that he's had. He's had more than one chance to square it to him. Fornals has missed big chances or been greedy enough to him. I just think he was the scapegoat for such a long time, and I think just the way in which he left and the treatment that he got from the fans, it left a bitter taste in my mouth, because I don't think he deserved it. And I swiftly think that those people that slated Haller, they will move now to Pablo Fornals, because it seems like the next person to blame. So it was a low light, because I really, when he came in, I said to all my mates, I had a bet with my dad's mate, and I ended up, my dad actually paid the bet off because I lost a lot of money. But I was like, this man, he's going to score 15 to 20 goals a season. He's going to be bang up there. This is it. This is the time. It just, it left a sour taste in my mouth, unfortunately, because I just wanted him to succeed. And that's, I'd say that was the low light of my season, because there's not really been many lows. Like, it's actually been quite a nice season for a change. It's not actually been that many lows.
I really hope we attach the sell-on clause to Haller, because he's gonna smash it. I mean, they're top dogs over there. They get to attack constantly. Yeah, he's gonna get so many goals. Matt, what was your low light?
Well, to be honest, I was thinking about this, and to be honest, I had almost one along the lines of what Tom's just said. There is the fact that Anderson and Haller have not worked out, which is £85 million worth of player we've effectively spunked, and that to us is massive, especially when you've got the chairman saying, "Oh, we've got no money. Oh, the gate receipts are a problem. Oh, what are we going to do?" All of a sudden, we're £85 million worth of player down the toilet. I don't know if there's any payments left to be made back to Frankfurt. So out of the 25 million or whatever we sold him for, are we actually going to see much of that? I don't know. So that's one thing. Yeah. The other thing happened last week is when Fabianski got injured, because the last time that happened, it ruined our season. We end up in a relegation dogfight. We end up with Roberto in goal, game after game after game after game, and it was a disaster from start to finish. I don't think anyone out there really thinks that Randolph can do a job consistently week in, week out. We know he can't, because that's why we shipped him off anyway when we went to Middlesbrough. So that for me is a real low light, because if that injury, I know he's not. I don't think he's scheduled to play against Stockport in the Cup. That for me could be a massive low light, because if he is injured,
he should be fit for the next Prem game.
Yeah, I mean, let's fingers crossed, because otherwise that is going to be a real fucker for us. We've got a week after Stockport. We don't play against. We have got some time, and hopefully it is just a twinge and it is just a nick. But when it happened, for me, it's heart and mouth time, because here we go again. That cost us massively last season, particularly when I think that was a season when we dropped whatever it was, 22, 26 points from winning positions, because the keepers were just all over the shop. So for me, that was a real shit the bed. We could be in serious trouble here. Hopefully, like Tom said, we've got Stockport in the cup, which he probably wouldn't have played in anyway. And then we've got a bit of a respite, but hopefully it is just a little bit of a knock, and we don't find ourselves scrambling around.
Can we just literally just sit back for a second and appreciate that the two worst things supposedly that have happened to us have been 5 months after the season started? When in the hell has that ever happened? If you've got another low light, John, by all means bring it up. But I don't actually.
Ghana, maybe.
But that's before like the season really kicked off almost. So literally in the first 5-6 months of the season, with the start and the fixtures that we had, if we've got to January and we're going, is it Fabianski? Is it Aller? Is it? Do you know, it's not like the board. Fair enough, we know that they're complete arseholes, but actually, there's not a lot of negatives around the club at the minute. It feels weird. I want to slate them for being absolute arseholes, but I can't at the minute because they're not sticking their nose out and being. I mean, actually saying that, David Gold said last week on Twitter that Sebastian Haller had finally settled at West Ham. A week later, he gets sold. but it just feels weird that we're at this point of the season and there's not more things to complain about. It's crazy for me, which I think is brilliant for the next question about David Moyes, because it's positive, I think.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Has Moyes done enough to earn a new contract? Matt?
I mean, in short answer, yeah. And I would say yeah for two reasons. One, I think if you look at the form table, we're an informed team. I think we've got some sort of steel that we didn't have maybe last season, the season before that. I think, you look at the game against Spurs, the way we've played against Wolves, even at Arsenal game when we conceded, in the last couple of minutes. I think Moyes has brought a little bit of steel to the team. I think he's playing players as well that want to run and want to play, in Souček and Soufal, and which is what he said he would do. I would also say, of course, he's done enough because even if you are anti-Moyes and you are one of these people who's like, I can't stand him, useless Scottish bastard, who else is going to come in? I said it earlier about the sort of state that Arsenal are in. When Arsenal signed Arteta, he was this like prodigal son coming. He's learned from the best. He's been there with Pep, and that has not worked out. It has not worked out. The system they play, the way they play, they collapse. I think things could be a lot worse under bigger name managers or younger managers or people at the cutting edge of football. I think the thing with Moyes is people think he's a bit of a dinosaur. All he does in training is get people to run. I mean, whatever he's doing has completely worked out for us. Start the season again, that fixture list, people thought we were going to be stuffed, and it has not happened. And like Tom said there's not really a lot of lowlights. There's not really a lot of things to pull out. Now, the Leeds game we've played well. Villa game, okay, we scraped by, but it's that steel in the team. He's got the players playing together. When we beat Everton the other week, as the players walking off, Declan Rice, kind of like a camera thing, said, "Fuck me, boys, that's massive." The players know week in, week out what they're supposed to be doing. The players know what it means to play for the team. I don't think you can say that happened under Pellegrini, who is a bigger name, came in, everyone thought this was the next level. David Moyes, like it or not, is the level West Ham are at right now. And I think we should be, we should be a little bit more humble, a little bit more grateful that, all that promise about, us moving to the stadium in the next level, etc., etc., etc. Moyes is where we are right now. And I think for where we are and the direction we're going in, we're in a good, solid position. I think the team has a little bit of an identity, which it lacks under Pellegrini. So I'm all for it. And even if the thing, if you're going to kick him out, who are you going to get in? That's always a big question. Yeah, of course he's done enough. We're in form. The team's got an identity. We've got a bit of steel. Yeah, give him another gear. Yes, let him have another contract. Why not?
Matt's loving it, Tom.
I just want to address this before we go forward. Charlie Walsh, if you're in the chat, you might want to turn off now. Because I'm about to praise David Moyes. Before the season started, I was on the Hammers Chat podcast, Two Spanners, One Hammer, and I said, of all the things that David Moyes wants, after his 10 years at United, and he was over at Sociedad and Sunderland and stuff like that, he was in basically a bad run of jobs. He needed to feel security for me as well. It was the biggest thing that he needed as a manager, was the fact that of the jobs that he had, he needed to feel security. The first time round, I feel like he deserved to get that shot to come in as a contract. They went with Pellegrini, fair enough. At the time, he's a Premier League winning manager. There's a reason why you would have wanted to go after him. second time around, fair enough. Now he's got the team. However, it always felt like they were saying, like, you're only going to come in for X amount of time before we move on to someone else. West Ham as a club has always been predicated on having a manager in place for a long period of time. After Fat Sam was there for 4 years, I always felt like we needed, once Bilic came in, I thought we got rid of him too early. They had to have realised that the stadium and the Payet drama was a lot to do with what was going on at the club. I don't like all this chopping and changing of managers. I think it ruins the identity of the team, as Matt just said there. I think you lose that because different managers want to bring in their style of player. I think David Moyes' first time around didn't really get a fair window. And I also think after what he did with us saving us last season, he also wasn't backed going into this transfer window. So he had to sell a lot of players and almost keep the same sort of squad he had by bringing in the likes of Soufal. And he's actually done an incredibly good job because, as Matt said, he's brought an identity to the team, an identity that we haven't had at this club for such a long time. And I know Irish Tommy's just put in there, we're horrible to play against because almost sometimes you don't know what team you're going to come up against. Are you going to come up against one that's going to sit deep, press you, come on the counter attack, or are you going to play four at the back and you're going to look to create by playing Ben Rama through the middle? I think the more he feels at home at West Ham, the better results we're going to see going forward, because it can't have been nice for him as well. He was that, I've always said it, that Man United job for whoever took it was a poison chalice. We saw that because Van Gaal went there and Mourinho, and they both struggled. Even though they won stuff, they both struggled. It was a poison chalice. And I think, like I said, David Moyes needed somewhere where he can almost build what he built at Everton, which was be at a club and stabilise it first, and then see where he can push it on. Don't forget, he's still not been backed. I know people will say that Bowen was him and Souček was him. Those signings were in place before he came in charge as manager. And yet, from that, he has still managed to turn this team around and get them playing well, get rid of players that maybe you would say have an ego about the club, and get them singing off the same hymn sheet. And I would say give him a rolling contract and see, like, at the end of every year for a couple of years. But even then, I genuinely think that a lot of what has happened this year is down to him and the style that he's played. The way that he set us up tactically has been good. Before the game, we'll see team sheets, we think, oh, is that really going to work out? And they've actually performed well. The only knock I can ever have against him is his substitutions. However, in the last couple of games, he's been a bit proactive and whatnot from players from the bench to bring them on. But genuinely, I think tactically, to a man, we're a fitter team for one, because he does. If you don't run, as he always said, if you don't run, you don't play for me. We're a fitter team. We're a more resolute team. We are a team that can't afford to have, I don't think, lots of luxury players like your Andersons and your Allairs. You need some hard grafting players that play a David Moyes style of football, that are stubborn, that are difficult to break down. And they may not score a lot of goals, but they'll make you fight for that result. And that's not a West Ham team that I've seen for quite some time. Yeah, it's nice when we had Payet, when we had Lanzini, and we had Anderson, and we were scoring lots of goals under Pellegrini and whatnot. But if there's a team that are going to actually set up to defend well and make it difficult for you against the big size, like some of the results we've had this season, especially those first opening games and whatnot, I thought his head was going to be on the chopping board and ready to go by Christmas. But he stuck at his task. He knuckled down. He even came through COVID. And he's actually put us in a position to potentially succeed and build this summer on a, if we can get into this summer and somehow we keep hold of Declan Rice and he keeps that and they give him a little bit of money to spend, I really would be interested to see what David Moyes can do next season, because with all this COVID stuff going on, it's really seeming to benefit us at the minute. We've picked up so many points, and I'm genuinely I feel happy for David Moyes, because before he took that Man United job, there were not many better managers in this league around at the time. And I think, finally, he's felt that sense of security and he has got us playing well. And I know, again, Charlie Walsh, if you're sat at home, I'm so sorry that you're having to hear this. It's genuinely the best thing that could have happened to our football club in such a long time. If we go out at the end of the season, we go get a different manager with different style, I would be done more so with this board than I already am, because there's no man more deserving right now, in my opinion, than David Moyes.
Tom, I'm going to give you another thumb, because I think the Bowen Souček thing that you mentioned, it isn't mentioned enough, and that I believe they were actually Pellegrini scouting reports, and they were signed under him really more so, or identified under him and signed under Moyes. So I think that's a good point. Charlie Walsh, I'm sure, is in the chat room. In fact, he's in the studio and he's got 30 seconds, Charlie. You've only got 30 seconds because I have a show to run here. So get your anger out and let's move on with it.
No, he's not good, bro. He can't manage, right? There were three, right? We got 9 points, right? And let me look up when it was. Fulham, Sheffield, Aston Villa. We were unbelievably lucky in those games. And this is the key problem with David Moyes. He has one. I'll look in the camera, John. This is how serious it is. He has one system and he can't do anything else apart from it. He loses one player, who, by the way, is the most injury-prone player in our squad, the guy who we should not be relying on the most. And that's the one guy who he needs to make his goddamn system work. The second he's out of the team, we can't Sebastian Haller. What did he cost? 45 million? What's he going to do? Go and kill it at Ajax. He went to Ajax. They were in a Champions League final, 2 years ago? That's the team who have gone for him. And yet David Moyes looks at him and goes, I can't figure it out. I don't know what to do. Bruv, figure yourself out. The only reason we got him is because we couldn't get anyone else because the board took too long to get rid of him. In reality, when you say who's the different manager, I don't know the name. Like, maybe go and get the guy from Leverkusen. They're doing really well. He was at Dortmund before he fell down, but now he's actually doing bits with Leverkusen. Why not go and get someone who isn't, I don't know, the only person left available? This bargain bucket nonsense idiot who can't do anything. He hasn't signed anyone. He's been horrendous in the market.
That was fun.
I've missed that. Do you know what I would say to him? There are points in which he's right. And I would say to him, I'm the first to criticise him when he's shit. But I'm also the first to praise him when he does well. And there are times when he has been shit. But fair play, he's come through a lot of stick and he's proved a lot of people wrong this season. He's proved a lot of people wrong. But thank God you switched off because I've heard enough of that. Literally over the last 5 months, Charlie, I love you, but please just
we've got to be more positive. We've got to be more positive.
Stick around, Charlie. Maybe we'll have you say even more points at the end if you want.
Charlie, if you'd have beaten me in the first round and made it through to this point, maybe you could have put your point forward.
Fire.
I'm joking. I love
Last question of the night. Right, 4-part question. I think we start with Tom. If the following club members made New Year's resolutions, what resolutions would they make? And we're going to start with everybody's favorite, Fabian Balbuena. Tom.
Wow. Where do I start? I don't actually know. Do you know it's really annoying is because I've got 3 for the other one, and I'm in an iron about Fabian Balbuena, and I don't actually know what his New Year's resolution would be. Let me just think of one on the spot. Matt, have you got one? And then you can come back to me.
That's not how this game works. That's not how it works. You don't get to play host over here. If you ain't got one, I'm moving on, and you get 0 likes.
All right, okay. Fabian Balbuena's New Year's resolution should be, It should be.
It should be to give you 0 likes. Matt, Fabian Balbuena's New Year's resolution.
It is a tough one. I would say he's got to start to live up to his nickname of El General. He's supposed to be this big commanding presence in the middle of the park, and sometimes he kind of drifts in and out of games, and he lets Ogbonna do all the hard work. So I'd like to see him start to live up to his nickname, if I'm honest.
Okay, I've got one.
Okay, go.
Let's hear it, but I'm probably not going to point you for it.
Now listen. Fabian Balbuena reminds me of a young man by the name of Dougal Maguire. Now, the reason being is because...
You're not getting Father Ted like that, me. You've already had one.
Hang on. Listen to me. Wait, hang on. Without Ogbonna back there, without his father Ted, he just can't be guided, John, is what I would say. He can't be guided. He has to have a mentor there to help him. Without Ogbonna, John, he's absolutely clueless. He needs somebody to come. Maybe you have a Cresswell, like a Mrs. Doyle to come in and say, "Oh, Mr. Balboa, would you like a cup of tea?" You know, you have to have some consistency. You have to have these together. I mean, even Soufal, he'll be your father Jack. He'll be there. A father will come through, a Dharma Traore. Soufal's there going, feck off. Yeah, listen. He's Dougal Maguire. His New Year's resolution, he needs to be more of a Father Ted and less of a Dougal Maguire. He needs to take responsibility and be the main man, John. And put your fucking like up.
Wally, take half a point off of Tom for trying to buy me with Father Ted likes, please. I'm not that cheap, Tom.
Oh, I'm so sorry, John. I'm so sorry. Are you not? Are you not? Are you not? Penn State is the best college in America. I don't want to hear it.
Dear God, butter wouldn't melt. Kevin Nolan, Matt.
I want to see Kevin Nolan do the chicken dance every time we score.
Matt, no, fuck's sake.
Is he just taking his answer?
A bonus point for taking his answer. Of course, that's what we want to see. There's nothing else. There's nothing else. He's a fine-looking man. More chicken dancing.
Fantastic resolution, Tom.
Oh yes, I'm Kevin Nolan.
What else do we know about Kevin Nolan?
Yeah, what else can I write about Kevin Nolan? Do you know what? What can his New Year's resolution be? It would probably, for me, be standing on the touchline and stop giving tactical instructions to our substitutions for 10 fucking minutes. If they need to come on the pitch, get your spiel done and let them onto the pitch. You're sat there most games for 10 minutes with your clipboard open, and it's like, oh, great, we're making a sub in the 70th minute, and then they come on in the 80th minute because you're too busy chatting about what you've had for dinner, how to do the chicken dance. Yeah, if he can hurry up when coming to his substitutions, that'll be the best thing for him in the new year.
Listen, that Spurs clipboard, I think that's the reason for our existence in there somewhere.
I'll tell you what, Fabian Balbuena probably put a little bit of fucking Mexican jumping powder on the top of that board for us to play the way that we did. There you go. There's Balbuena's New Year's resolution. Give the team a bit more Paraguayan cocaina and see how we play.
Tom, coming to you, Karen Brady. What's her New Year's resolution?
Stop being such a cunt for the. Oh, sorry. Stop being such a.
So much passion.
Stop being such a fucking wanker when it comes to writing articles for The Sun or wherever shit newspaper that you write for. There's a reason why nobody likes you. It's because you can't keep your mouth out of the fucking tabloids. Just stop talking about shit. It's really simple. Just do your job, which is to just look pretty. Even though that's tough as it is with that old fucking ball bag as a face. But you keep your mouth shut. And you just keep stum. That's all you have to do. Just shut up, write what you have to write, take your, if it's about women's things and whatnot and all that. Just stop making it sound like it's related to West Ham. Yeah. Like, they could be on some sort of women's march, which I'll be all for and everything's good. But no, there's some sort of correlation to West Ham and her ineffectiveness to do her job. Stop being such a prick and fuck off. There you go. That's my New Year's resolution.
Just to write about women's things. It's the most 1960s sounding shit I've heard today. But I hope Becky will troll you for life over that. Matt.
Yeah, I mean, in short, two things. One, I'd like to see her take a BTEC in some sort of PR course because she's the most
put it a bit politer than me.
Yeah, BTEC as well. Heavy-footed, more on in the game. There's no one that's run like that. Also, I'd also like to. The New Year's resolution for Karen Brady is to get her daughter an OnlyFans account.
Oh, hang on a minute, right? I literally had this conversation before I came on here with Becky, and she told me not to mention this, right? I was going to say her New Year's resolution would be to stop getting her daughter to be such a slag on Instagram, right? Because her ass is there. Right, stay here. Hold up the phone. I literally was talking about this with Rebecca before I came on.
I'm naive. Karen Brady, I had no idea.
Yeah, you don't know about this, yeah.
Look at, there's Rebecca. I'll hide her covered up in the top left-hand corner of the screen. I completely forgot you were there, Rebecca. But there you go. Look at the arse on that thing. I mean, wow, it's fantastic. It really is brilliant.
I guess that's a thumb for Matt. Another one. All right, and let's round it out with our favorite.
This is ridiculous.
He's the one who had the answer, and you just proved his point. So it technically is his thumb. Matt, Thomas Souček.
I mean, okay, so let's be really stereotypical here. Thomas Souček needs his New Year's resolution to get himself. I don't know what wage he's on. I don't know who his boot sponsor is, but he should really maximise the sponsorship appeal with the potato salad eating community of the Czech Republic, because it's clearly a passion of his. I think he'd be a wonderful spokesman. Also, I'd like to see him spend more time hanging out with Soufal, watching 90s comedies, because that was the funniest thing I saw over all of Christmas. So more potato salad sponsorship-related deals and more little Christmas videos with Sufal. Well, the West Ham, Laurel and Hardy.
You gotta love those two. You have to, Tom.
I'm beat. I don't know what to say. Thomas Souček, what should he do a bit more of? Other than eating potato salads, which obviously would probably been anybody's bog standard answer if we'd have done this. Was
I might go on first, to be honest. Yeah.
There you go. The benefits of going first. More potato salads. I would say his New Year's resolution should be, and I feel bad for saying this, but what else have I got to say? Remove the word from his dictionary. My man, every press conference I see him talking about stuff, it's filled with If he can do that, he may just have been the best person in the world. He's like, if he's that guy that would, his wife could come home, right? His wife can come home and she could sit and she could have sex with just any man in the world and she'd be front. And Thomas Souček would come in and be like, yeah, he wants a potato salad. He's just such a nice guy. He doesn't find offense with anything. He does not find offense with anything. He's just, if I had kids, I would leave him. If I didn't even know him, I'd just give him he's a trusting man. He's a brilliant man. And his New Year's resolution would just keep being you, is all I would say. Just keep being you.
What a guy. What a guy.
Incredible stuff. Charlie, what do you think Souček's resolution should be?
Come bitch slap Tom.
That's a good question. What would his be? Probably to move to a club with a better manager. I don't know, Bayern Munich.
Wally, did you have any New Year's resolution? Are you the resolution kind, Wally?
You know what? I haven't thought of one yet. I usually it takes me a little time to percolate one up. So no, I don't have a resolution yet.
We'll have to March, Wally.
Yeah.
See how we're going.
Then I'll come up with something I've already done. So I feel good.
Right.
I was going to drink less, and then 2021 got off to a raging start, didn't it? Fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, round
John, before you announce it, John, can I just say you and Wally this evening are looking absolutely beautiful. You're looking just
fucking Tom, dear God, he's got no shame, that kid. No shame.
Listen, if you want a good deal, you want a good price for a special massage. I'm your man. All right, I'm your man.
I'm quite happy to leave at this point if that's what it is.
Take my bribes, John. Take them.
Wally, please put an end to the shambles.
Okay. Well, we have a clear loser tonight, and that is Charlie Walsh with -5 likes.
Nice.
Neg.
But then we have an epically close match here with massive scores. We have Tom with 27.
Ooh.
And we have Matt with 27.
You're joking.
But Tom was deducted a half a point for trying to come up with Father Ted and bribing the like man, John. So Tom has 26.5. That makes Matt the winner, according to my calculation.
The Len Brennan rule. Don't call me Len, you little prick.
Hang on. I thought you were joking. I didn't think that actually was booted out on a technicality, John. There has to be an overtime.
I'm sorry, you can't try and set up to the host like that. Wally runs this shit as well in the background, so you're gonna have to come over to Philadelphia and sort this one out, Tom.
Right.
Look at the devastation on his face.
Count. Stop the count.
Stop the steal.
Oh my God. Matt, let's get you. We'll put these lot in the green room. Matt, congratulations. Fantastic win. Fantastic tournament so far. You've done so well. What do you have to say to the West Ham faithful? We've got Stockport County coming up. Anything about the season that we've had in general, or any good vibes to give out to the West Ham world? Floor's yours.
Yeah, like always good vibes. I think. Listen, we've had a better season, I think, than we think. I think Charlie coming on and saying we were shit here, we were shit there. it's really easy to shit on West Ham. It's like it's so easy. We've had a decent season so far. We've beaten some decent teams. We're playing well. Let's keep it going, and let's keep these little technicalities going as well. So whoever's, I don't know when the next round is happening, whenever it is, but let's keep these little technicalities going because that's literally the only way I'm going to win. I am the Dominion voting machine of Friday Night Lights.
Matt, you did brilliantly. Tom, you always do brilliantly. Look at his face.
Do you know what you've robbed me of? I'm sorry, Matt. You did well done. Congratulations. Do you know what you've robbed me of? You've robbed me of a final against. You've robbed me of a final against my arch nemesis. Oh. You have robbed me of Jazz. I wanted to beat that man to a pulp.
Ooh. And yet here you are taking an L. Enjoy it, bro. Welcome. Come on to the loser's side. Come off to the loser's side.
First round loss. First round.
Come on. Get involved, mate. Get involved.
Oh my God. Amazing.
Looking for the wild card.
Who knew? Yeah.
The trophy. I don't deserve it anymore. No, seriously, well done. Congratulations.
Congrats, man.
The only reason I wanted to get to the final is because I wanted to just cast Jazz aside, and his magicness is all I wanted to do. And I wanted to call him out for being a fake plastic fan.
And yet here you are, half a point loss.
That's some big words there. Listen, we'll make sure that if Jazz wants in, we can have a future episode of Friday Night Lights with you guys.
You're gonna have a special one, yeah.
I'd come in here and I'd be blocked. I wouldn't be able to talk to him because he'd bottle it, is what he would do, because that's what he is. He's a king bottle job.
It's some strong words. Wow. Everybody. Anyway, well, Matt is through to the final. Fantastic stuff. Keep tuned. We'll get that going, I think, next week, but Tim will sort it and let everybody know.
As Irish Tommy says, my supporters are about to storm your house, John. I'm coming. I'm coming for you.
Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, bring the Father Ted DVD set with you, would you? I mean, fuck's sake.
Rebecca, you are special and you need to do this. Carry on. Go to John's house right now.
Rile up the crowd.
God, my wife is going to be very surprised. Anyway, lads, it's been fantastic. If these lot still want to go on about Moyes, maybe they'll do an encore. Who knows? So, but otherwise, it's been Friday Night Lights.
Give the crowd what they want. Let Charlie have it.
Give the people what they want. Potentially. I got to give myself what I want too, and I got to go to the toilet. So I got to end this show before you even think about starting another one. Matt, fantastic. Well done. Wally, as always. Charlie, thanks for joining us, Charlie, for your little cameo. Tom, unlucky, always a pleasure, and so happy to hear of you striving and thriving with your YouTube account. If you guys don't follow him, go do that now. Fantastic stuff. Anyway, Friday Night Lights, hit subscribe, hit like, hit all the buttons that are on the screen, and we'll see you next time. Come on, you on.
All right.